What is going on, guys? Crowder here, and yes, you guys all know Verdansk has made a comeback. Warzone might be fun again, and if you guys are enjoying it, I would actually love to hear what you guys are thinking about it in the comments below. But it is time to give you guys the best settings, movement, controller, aim, graphics, and all that stuff for PC. And as always, I'll come out with the console ones for you guys tomorrow, so you can enjoy your Verdansk experience as much as possible with the squad. Let's get right into it. We're going to start off with controller settings. Right now, I'm using a PS5 Battle Beaver, the Crowder edition right here. Just default sticks, nothing too crazy. I play on button layout default, stick layout preset default, and I am using the horizontal and vertical stick sensitivity as 1.6. Now, 1.65 is usually what most professional players in the CDL play on, and that is equivalent to 7.7. If this is a little bit too fast, you can go down to around 1.4. Anything lower than that's probably a little bit too slow, and you should be able to keep up with people sliding and moving, but also kind of be able to keep yourself locked in around those sensitivities. If you're going to go a little bit faster, I would recommend going all the way up to 2, probably at the all-time max. But at the end of the day, a lot of sensitivity is going to be personal preference. And of course, if you are new or you just forgot about this, you can go over to the aiming side over here, and if you go to your sensitivity multiplier and click show more, you can actually go down to your ADS sense multiplier, which is going to be right here. And you can change that to a little bit slower if you want to feel a little bit more locked in when you're aimed down sight, but when you're playing from the hip, you can be fast. So you can kind of mess around with this. I like around the 0.85 is kind of that happy medium if I'm going to use something like this. But lately, I've just been playing on 1.6, and the multiplier is just 1 to keep it pretty steady. I would recommend trying a bunch of different combos to see what works for you. But as we're going down here, we're going to get to the fun stuff right now, and that is going to be dead zone inputs. I explain this every single video, and of course, I'm going to do it again because I do think this is probably the most important part of the video for controller players, so listen up. You can see here that my dead zones are all right here. If you understand dead zones, you can probably just copy these, and they should work for the majority of controllers. Dead zones are going to be specific to your controller if you really want to dial it in, and I'm going to explain exactly how that works right now. So you can see my left stick minimum, I'm going to go all the way to 10. I'm going to go all the way to 10 here, and I'm going to go all the way to 99 here. And the reason why is you can see on the right side of the screen, the bar is kind of moving around. So I'm going to move my camera for 1 second, and you can see the 2 sticks on the right side of the screen. If I go to my test dead zone right here, and I move around, you can see my left stick's moving around right there. And now pay attention as the left stick minimum goes up, that red circle over here is going to start expanding. All that means is that's going to be when it actually registered. So I have to get my left stick to actually pass that red zone to start registering movement. So with aim assist being a lot of your left stick, and you want to be moving in Call of Duty to get that rotational aim assist and all that, your left stick is very important. So you can see that's why I had it at 0. So what I would recommend is kind of just seeing exactly what's good for your controller and going from there. Most of the time, anywhere from 0 to 3 is really good. So you want to lower this as much as possible without getting stick drift. And I have the Magneto sticks right now from Battle Beaver, so I don't get stick drift at all anymore. And it's been feeling really good. And then the left stick maximum, this one's going to be also very important, because if you go to the left stick maximum and I go all the way down to 65, you can see that red circle is kind of closing in. And what that means is if I have it at 65, usually this is the number that works really well without tweaking out my controllers. I want to get the full speed as fast as possible. With tack sprint, strafing, and moving, you want to be a hard target for your opponent to hit. I want to hit max speed at 65% of the way, not all the way to 100, all the way at the right side. So that's why I like to kind of cut that almost in half, so I can get those max strafe speeds and all that stuff with the omni movement as fast and smooth as possible. And this kind of just works for me. I would recommend trying to go lower if you could. And it doesn't tweak out your controller, maybe to like 55. If your controller is actually tweaking, you can just up it to 75, 85, 95, and then obviously 99, depending on your controller. And you should be able to find that kind of happy medium for you, or whatever controller you're rocking. And now go to the right stick too. This is also a very important one, because the right stick minimum and your right stick is how you control your recoil and how you track people in the sky, in vehicles, running across the street, or of course just sliding on you up close. You want to be able to track your enemy while the aim assist is activated. And the way you're going to do that is by having as little of a delay as possible with the right stick. So if I'm going to go to test dead zone, I like personally, as soon as I touch the right stick for it to activate, I just feel like that's the smoothest that it makes it feel. So I like to play on anything from 5 or below and just kind of feel how my aim goes from there. Honestly, once you hit 5 and below, in my opinion, not going to really feel too much of a difference. But again, I would recommend just trying it out and figuring out what works best for you. I've played on anything from 5 to 3 to 2 to 0. Actually, you know what? For this video, I'm going to be streaming a lot. So if you follow me on twitch.tv/Crowder, I'm going to try 0 with these new Magneto sticks because I actually haven't tried that on this controller yet. Don't touch your right stick maximum because you don't want to make that all funky while you're aiming. That's just not worth it. And then your left trigger and right trigger, I put it all the way down to 1 just so when you're shooting or throwing stuff or doing anything, you want your controller to be as responsive as possible. And that's going to make it that. Now, going over to the aiming settings, I just showed you these earlier. I don't really touch any of these aiming settings because I don't do anything. I just leave them all at 1. And then my aiming advanced settings, I have my ADS sensitivity transition timing on instant. A lot of people sometimes have it on gradual by accident. I don't recommend that. And then aim response curve type dynamic. That means you're going to be starting with movements that are fast and then they're going to be slowing down to your sensitivity. If you don't like that feeling, although I do highly recommend trying to get used to that feeling, linear is going to be a little bit more ideal of just like keeping it all similar. And then standard is actually going to start from slow to fast. So if you're trying to readjust some of your aims and you want it to like readjust slower, you could try standard and get away with it. Again, a lot of this stuff is going to be how you personally feel. You can be good with any of these settings, but most people use dynamic, including myself. And then I don't mess with the response curve slope scale at all. I think that stuff is just not worth touching at all. So that is what we're rocking with that. I don't use custom sensitivity per zoom. You could do that if you want and just mess with all the zooms that you would really want, especially if you're a sniper. I don't really do that myself. I'm going to keep that off. And then we're going to go with target assist on. You want that on. ADS aim assist, definitely want that on. Motion and all of that, you definitely don't touch any of that. And then you go over to movement, which is also going to be important. Sprint assist. Now, if I only played Warzone, I would probably keep my tactical sprint assist on. I like having my sprint assist as just regularly on because I also do play multiplayer ranked a lot. And in multiplayer, I personally think it's a little bit more of a detriment to always tac sprint. You get caught sprinting a lot in multiplayer and you could die faster and it's just not as good at the high level ranks. So I play with this on, but I'd probably recommend tactical sprint assist in Warzone in general to feel smoother. And then the sprint assist delay off. Make sure it's set to 0. And then sideways, and that is going to be on. There you go. Mantle assist I have off. Crouch assist I have off. Corner slicing I have off. Slide to dive behavior. Listen, a lot of people are going to tell you on TikTok that hybrid is the best for you. I'm going to tell you hybrid's the best for you. If you can actually use hybrid and not accidentally dive a lot, you're going to have the most advantageous movement that you can possibly have when you're playing Call of Duty. You do not need hybrid. It is helpful to jump off things and dive off things and parachute to get a little bit more distance. It's helpful in some situations to avoid some shots. But if you are accidentally diving more than you're actually getting the help from that, I would recommend just playing on slide only, just because that's going to get rid of that delay. If you're playing on tap to slide or tap to dive, you're actually playing with a delay in your movement, and I don't recommend that. You could play on slide only or hybrid and you'll be okay. If you don't know exactly how hybrid works, if you are clicking in your left stick and holding it in while you hit the slide button, you will actually dive. And if you were just clicking it in and sprinting and then you hit your slide button, you'll slide. So really, again, it depends on how good you are with movement and how much you care about that. If you don't like that and you're just playing to casually have some fun on Warzone, play on slide only. You'll be fine. And then all of this slide maintain sprint on, sprint restore on, and then that is going to be the rest of that stuff. If you were looking at the tactical sprint activation, you want single tap run on, although that sounds weird. If you click in your left stick once, you'll actually go straight to tactical sprint instead of just regular sprint. This is a really good way to use sprint assist on that's not tactical sprint, and then be able to use this to kind of almost have something very identical. This is good for multiplayer, very good for Warzone too, but if you have tactical sprint assist on, you don't really need to worry about this. But yeah, that's what we're rocking with that. And also the auto door peek is kind of a underrated setting. If you go up to a door while ADSing, you actually peek this open. I have this on in multiplayer. I did not realize I had it off in Warzone, so we're going to turn that one on right there as well. And then that's going to be everything for movement. And then combat, we're just going to scroll through this. Pretty normal stuff here. Prioritize the armor plates here for Warzone. You want that to be apply all, so you can just put those on smoother. Combat, advanced settings, all of this. Prioritize interact makes just looting easier, so you can just tap square to loot everything really quick, and then you just have to hold square to reload. Definitely worth getting used to that. Nothing else too crazy on that stuff. And then you're going to go scrolling through this, which is your overlay behaviors. Nothing too crazy. So that's going to be everything when it comes to your controller section of the settings. And moving over to the graphics settings, we're going to go through everything in the graphics now to help your FPS, make your game look good and all that good stuff. And you're going to see here on this, we're going to go through all of these settings. So I'm just going to scroll through. Nothing too crazy here. I play on plus boost for that. Again, not going to have too much on this first menu. Just going to scroll through so you guys can kind of just, you know, copy that if you need to. Going over to the quality here, resolution, you want to make sure that's at a 100 of whatever you play on. I play on 1440p, so I have it at that. Upscale and sharpening. Fidelity cast is going to give that sharpness to the game and make it look very, very clear, especially Verdansk looks incredible right now with this. And then you go to show more, make sure that the strength is at 90. And then you just go through all this. Variable rate shading. If you have this on, it is going to add a lot of FPS to your game. Definitely worth having that on if you want to have more FPS for your PC. And then the details and resolutions. Depending on the PC that you have, you know, you can up some of these, which won't really hurt your FPS. It'll make your game look a little bit better, and you can just enjoy what you're looking at. Realistically, you can just turn all of this stuff to very, very low if you're going for the max FPS, and that will probably help. I personally like looking at a game that doesn't look like a freaking blob and just like crap. So I try and up some of these things, but either way, depending on what you're going for, you can make that choice. So if you're going for max FPS and you're watching this video, everything just turn it to low and you'll be fine. I personally love the way my game looks, and I'm still getting really, really good frames right now. So that's what I'm going to recommend to some of these resolutions, depending on your specs of your PC and stuff. So texture resolution, normal, depth of field off, detail quality low, particle resolution. This one is just, honestly, having this higher is just going to hurt your aim because there's just going to be more crap on your screen. So definitely, no matter what you're doing, turn that off. Bullet impacts I have on for the recoil patterns when I'm trying to learn them. Shader qualities and all that going to be low. On-demand texturing, there you go. And the rest of this stuff is going to be low, off, and all that stuff. So none of these really matter too much when it comes to making the game look good, in my opinion. That's why I have all those off. And then going over to the view, this is some of the more important stuff. The field of view. When you're playing Warzone, I play at 110 when I play Warzone mainly. With Verdansk coming back, I'm probably going to be playing a lot more Warzone than multiplayer again. My multiplayer FOV was 100. I think 110 is the sweet spot between 120 being a little bit too fishbowly. And listen, I'm getting older as these years go on. It's a little bit hard to see some people. So I think 110 is really good for the visual recoil going away, but also being able to see my enemies. If you're feeling real cracked, I'd recommend 120. If you're feeling like 110 is still a little bit too much for you, I'd recommend 105. And I think you'll get a pretty good advantage still of kind of eliminating some of that visual recoil from your weapon while ADS'd, but still having a good FOV. So 110 is the sweet spot for me. ADS field of view is affected. The weapon field of view I play on wide, and I just like the way it helps with your visual recoil and all that good stuff. And then everything else is going to be weapon motion blur. Make sure that is off. World motion blur, weapon motion blur off. First person camera movement, make sure that is at 50% and not 100, because your camera is going to be going all over the place. If you have that at 100, that is going to hurt you the absolute most. And then nothing else is too crazy on these. I like when I do get flashbanged for my screen to go black instead of white. I just can't stand how bright it is when you get flash. So that's why I have that inversion on. And that's going to be really it for the graphics. Going over to the audio settings, I play on loudness EQ on my PC. I don't really use the Artist War Tune. The Artist War Tune is incredible. I'd recommend looking up his video to get your best audio optimizations and all that good stuff. Either him or FPS Hub are both really, really good at what they do when it comes to audio. But at the same time, I think it doesn't sound that good for the stream and the content that I make. And I'm more of a content creator than I am a competitor. I don't care about dropping 30 plus games anymore. I care about the game looking better for my stream and creating fun content. So I play on loudness EQ, and that is really what I do for that. Enhanced headphone mode sucks. I actually don't recommend that to anyone. And then with loudness EQ, I'm using the Treyarch mix. I would probably also use Sucker Punch maybe, or anything of the sort, potentially. This feels really good for me right now when I'm using it. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And then if you go to your frequency intensities, some people do turn all these up and stuff. People mess with these. I haven't really messed with them too much. I don't really think it matters that much personally. I'll probably play around with these for Verdansk because every map has a new audio system. So I'm going to get back to you guys probably in a couple days here. If you guys are in my stream and you ask some questions, I'll always be more than willing to ask you and help you out as much as I can. So we're going to mess with those here in the future. But for now, the audio has been okay with just loudest EQ and that. Reduced tinnitus sound there, and the hit marker preset I have on classic. Nothing too crazy on that front. And then the last thing we're going to go over is the interface stuff, because some of this is pretty important. The readability is going to be one of them. Color customization. Color filter 2, both 100/100. I think that makes the game look a little bit more vibrant and good. And then the gameplay HUD is going to be all of this. Nothing too crazy. The HUD bounds I bring all the way in because that mini map on the top left of your screen is going to be the source of the information, whether it's teammate shooting, enemy shooting, where your teammates are, where the circle's going. It's all top left. COD's a game of milliseconds. The quicker you go up to the left and back to the center of your screen to shoot, the better you're going to be. I bring it all the way in for that reason. Minimap rotation on square is going to make the minimap a little bit bigger. And then you can just go through the rest of this kind of on your own. Nothing too crazy when it comes to this stuff. You can look at your crosshair. I don't like having crosshairs not static because when they're bobbing around, it just bothers me. My crosshairs are going everywhere, so I'd recommend static or just a center dot. Having them on when they're actually moving and stuff personally is just annoying, and most professional players don't have the bobbing crosshairs too. So that is going to be everything that you need to know when it comes to Call of Duty settings. Let's show you some NVIDIA control panel stuff, and you will be on your way to enjoying yourself on Verdansk. Okay, and for the NVIDIA control panel, you are going to see that my digital vibrance is just at 50. I don't play with anything too crazy. I'm using the OLED Samsung 360 hertz monitor at the moment, and I just think the colors are really, really vibrant already, so I don't do anything. Normally, with certain monitors, I'd up this anywhere from 60 to 70, depending on the monitor that I'm using and the colors of the game. You can mess around with that if you would really want to. And if you go to your manage 3D settings, I'm just going to scroll through this so you can see like what I have, and it's not going to be anything too crazy. And then you can kind of go from there. So that's all these settings right there for now. Nothing has changed since the last like 3 or 4 setting videos I've done. Just going to rerun this one for you guys just in case you don't know about anything. And you can look through all those. So that's going to be the NVIDIA control panel settings. That's going to be the Call of Duty main stuff that you need to know. And hopefully this video has helped you guys out so you can enjoy Verdansk a little bit more. We have a lot of content coming, still a lot of stuff that we're getting the community involved. If you have any Verdansk ideas, drop them in the Discord, comments, or specifically my Twitch chat is the best way to get in touch with me when you have something really cool that potentially we can do on this channel. But either way, I appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.